Welcome back, everyone, to another explainer. So if you're an author right now, kind of tossing around the idea of self-publishing your manuscript, let me ask you to picture your absolute biggest fear. It's probably not a bad review, right? It's way more likely that nightmare scenario. You publish this gorgeous, professionally edited, stunningly designed book that took you, what, 3 years to write? You spent thousands of dollars, poured your heart into countless early mornings, only to realize literally no one can find it. Why? Because the back-end institutional systems literally do not even know it exists. So today, we're diving straight into Chapter 7 of the Canadian Self-Publishing Blueprint. We're going to focus entirely on metadata, categories, and discoverability, specifically looking at it all through the Canadian context.
I love this core metaphor we're looking at right now. If your manuscript is the content, metadata is the map. We really have to draw a hard line today between the art of writing and the actual system of publishing. I mean, you spent months or maybe even years pouring your soul, your creative intentions, and your artistic vision into this manuscript. But here's the harsh truth. Automated systems, retail algorithms, and library databases, they do not care about your artistic intentions. They don't read them. They only read maps. And if you don't build a functional map, your art is going to remain entirely invisible.
Now, if the word metadata makes you think of dry, overwhelming institutional jargon, don't worry. We're going to make this super accessible. Our agenda for this explainer covers 6 main points. First, the map to your book. Second, BSAC codes and keywords. Third, the Canadian context. Fourth, titles and descriptions. Fifth, maintaining consistency across platforms. And finally, number 6, the metadata audit. Let's get right into it.
Kicking things off with Section 1, the map to your book. What exactly is metadata?
This right here is the absolute foundation of your publishing business. Simply put, metadata is structured information about your book. It's the raw data that tells the world where your book belongs on a virtual shelf, who actually gets to see it in their search results, how it's categorized, and crucially, whether institutions like libraries and indie bookstores can even find it to place an order. Picture this: an independent bookstore owner in Vancouver has a customer actively asking for your book. Incredible, right? So the owner searches their distribution database, but because your metadata is incomplete or categorized totally wrong, the fields just come up blank. Now, that busy bookstore owner isn't going to spend 20 minutes hunting you down on social media to figure out how to buy your book. They're just going to move on, and boom, you lose a sale. So you see, metadata isn't just marketing fluff. It's literally the institutional language of publishing.
These core metadata elements act kind of like a funnel, guiding systems and readers directly to your work. We are talking about things like your title, the subtitle, your author name, your publishing imprint, the ISBN, the publication date, trim size, format type, BISE categories, keywords, and of course your book description. Every single one of these fields feeds directly into retailer, wholesaler, and library databases. If you're inconsistent with this data, you're creating friction. And trust me, in a massive ecosystem with millions of books, friction is a total discoverability killer.
Moving right along to Section 2, BISE codes and keywords. How do we categorize your book?
So BISAC stands for Book Industry Standards and Communications. Basically, these are the standardized North American subject categories. When you pick your BISAC code, you are telling the entire supply chain exactly what your book is about. And you've got to be incredibly strategic here. If you go with a super broad category like just fiction/general, your book is going to get completely buried under tens of millions of other titles. You're just a drop in the ocean. But if you refine that down to something highly specific, say fiction, mystery and detective, cozy, suddenly you're placed right on the exact virtual shelf where cozy mystery readers are actively browsing. In these institutional systems, clarity absolutely beats cleverness every single time, so figure out your primary subject first and make it as specific as the system will let you.
Now, let's talk keywords. These are the actual search terms everyday readers are typing into search bars. And look, there is a massive temptation in indie publishing to keyword stuff. Creating that tangled mess of spam or intentionally misleading categories just to manipulate the algorithm for a quick spike in exposure. Like maybe throwing in the name of a current massive bestseller that has absolutely nothing to do with your book. Seriously, do not do this. Your long-term discoverability depends on specific, relevant, honest keywords that align perfectly with your content and what the reader is actually expecting. Modern search systems are ridiculously sophisticated now. They actively reward coherence and they punish spam. If someone searches for a thriller, clicks on your book, and realizes it's actually a sweet romance, they're going to bounce immediately, and the algorithm learns very quickly to just stop showing your book.
That brings us to Section 3, the Canadian context and regional metadata.
If you're operating in Canada, regional metadata acts as this incredibly powerful beacon, especially for institutional buyers.
Sure, retail algorithms like Amazon might not inherently prioritize Canadian content, but Canadian libraries, schools, and independent bookstores absolutely do. And the best part is, you don't need to explicitly shout Canadian author in giant neon letters on your cover. Instead, you can weave these really subtle Canadian signals right into your metadata. So this might mean intentionally using Canadian spelling, like spelling color with a U, right in your description. It could mean specifying a province, like Nova Scotia, in your keyword settings, or making sure your keywords align with the Canadian educational curriculum. These embedded, subtle signals really strengthen your chances of being acquired by massive institutional systems like the Toronto Public Library without alienating your global retail audience in the US or the UK.
Next up, Section 4, Titles and Descriptions. It's all about balancing clarity. You might totally love a poetic, kind of ambiguous title like Foundations. And sure, it probably looks incredibly elegant on a book cover. But without a specific, clarifying subtitle, it leaves your book completely lost in the fog of a search-driven ecosystem. Compare that poetic title to something like this: Foundations, a practical guide to building sustainable business systems. Wow, right? That subtitle gives undeniable specificity. It helps automated systems categorize you perfectly, and it instantly tells readers exactly what problem you are solving for them before they even click on the cover. Just remember, ambiguity hides you, clarity sells you.
And that exact same rule applies to your book description. Your description is actually serving two very distinct masters. First, you've got your retail readers who are quickly skimming the page. For them, you need persuasion, clear benefits, and a really good emotional hook. But second, you have library acquisition teams and algorithms that are scanning for informational clarity. To serve them, you need a professional tone and exceptionally clean formatting. You have got to keep your descriptions completely free of messy HTML gimmicks. Why? Because heavy HTML coding actually breaks proprietary library catalog software. If a librarian tries to import your metadata and the text just turns into a garbled mass of code, they're just going to reject the acquisition. You really have to balance persuasion for the human with clarity for the machine.
Let's jump into Section 5, Consistency across platforms and building your infrastructure.
Okay, think about this for a second. If Amazon disappeared tomorrow, would your publishing identity still exist? Well, if your answer is no, then you are completely platform dependent. I want you to consider the all-too-common nightmare of an indie author waking up one morning to find their single retailer account suspended over some automated glitch. Without their own infrastructure, their entire business just vanishes overnight. We really want to shift your mindset from simply uploading a file to actually building a resilient long-term publishing infrastructure across multiple distribution channels. Yes, Amazon is a powerful distribution channel, for sure, but it is not your entire business.
To build that kind of resilient infrastructure, you must have perfect metadata consistency. If your title, your trim size, your publication date, or even your imprint name differs even slightly between platforms like KDP and Ingram Spark, catalog systems are going to treat them as entirely separate products. Imagine an independent bookstore in Toronto trying to order your paperback through Ingram, but they find 3 separate listings for your title with slightly different trim sizes. They are not going to take the time to guess which one is the correct final version. They'll just abandon the order altogether. Maintaining exact uniformity across all your distribution channels isn't some boring administrative chore. It is the hallmark of a true professional publisher.
And this consistency is absolutely vital if you're writing a series. Automated systems rely super heavily on structured fields to link your books together on a retailer page. You have to use consistent series naming, proper volume numbering, and absolutely identical author formatting. Think about it. If Book 1 is published by Jane Smith and Book 2 is published by J. Smith, the computer system won't connect them. Improper series labeling deeply frustrates your readers, who won't know what to read next, and it absolutely infuriates librarians. Librarians are managing thousands of acquisitions. They literally do not have the time to cross-reference whether J. Smith is the same person as Jane Smith. They just won't stock Book 2.
Finally, Section 6, the metadata audit. This is your essential pre-publication check.
Before you even think about hitting publish on any platform, you absolutely must run this metadata audit. You need to use this audit checklist to ensure complete branding consistency across all your distribution channels. Let's run through it. Step 1, ensure your title and subtitle are identical in punctuation and capitalization everywhere. A straight colon on one platform and a dash on another will create duplicate listings. Step 2, confirm your author and imprint name are perfectly consistent so your entire catalog links together seamlessly. Step 3, align your publication dates so your launch date is synchronized globally. Step 4, verify you have the correct, unique ISBN assigned to the correct format. Your audiobook absolutely cannot share an ISBN with your paperback.
Step 5, strategize those BISAC codes and keep your keywords clean and honest. And Step 6, polish that description for both the persuasive human and the strict library system. Try to frame this audit not as a bureaucratic hurdle, but as the final, meticulous polish of your treasure map.
We're going to wrap up this explainer with an incredibly empowering philosophy from the blueprint. Publishing is not just art, it is classification. And classification determines reach. Once you truly internalize that, you stop treating metadata as some frustrating tech formality and you start leveraging it as your most powerful positioning strategy. So, as you get ready to launch all your hard work out into the world, I'll leave you with this final thought. Is your manuscript currently a hidden treasure buried deep in the sand, or have you drawn the perfect map to ensure every single reader, bookstore, and library can actually find it?